When I think about my future, I see myself working as a freelance photographer in a commercial environment. My name is Lee, and in this video I want to show you how I have grown as an individual and that I am now better prepared for the industry. In the last 8 months, I have worked on a variety of freelance jobs, networked with others, promoted myself, gained an employed role, and managed to achieve over 60 days of experience. I set myself high standards, and it is important to both me and my business that I am completely professional. Through the work I did on our group manifesto and from my interview with Jason Scott Tilley, I had managed to build a strong idea on what I needed to do to achieve this. Working freelance means that no two jobs are ever the same. This way, there is always something new to learn, and my first job came when a local small business owner wanted some images for an acting portfolio. These images needed to be shot on location and had to be a mix of studio and natural light. Walking into an unknown location required me to quickly assess my surroundings and generate ideas for photos. It was very nerve-wracking prior to my arrival, but once I got started, I learned that I was able to think on my feet and get the job done. This was a skill that I would need with my next job that came from an existing client, John Lewis. They wanted some promotional images from the grand opening of their new Waitrose store, and this was a two-man job. Learning to recruit others was a whole new experience. I had to decide what I could afford to pay, find someone that could help, and then go through all the details of the job with them. This really helped me when it came to planning and organising, as a lot of work goes into a job like this, and being a photographer is not just simply turning up on the day and taking a few shots. Recruiting someone also added a whole new dimension. I started to feel like a true professional, and having an employee made my business seem very real. This meant added pressure, so I was keen to impress both the client and my new employee and show them I was more than just a hobbyist with a camera. As we were now entering the Christmas period and into the event season, this is an area I had worked in before, so I was not so nervous when I was hired for a couple of functions at the Holiday Inn Hotel in Peterborough. But, like I said before, there's always something new to learn, and this proved no exception. I rehired the same person I used before. I know I'd found somebody that I was happy to work with, and they were more than capable of doing the job. When we arrived, we found out that we were in a different room to where I had planned, and I had to change my thinking and come up with new ideas. I thought that I would have to show this to my assistant, but to my surprise, he had already assessed the situation and was coming up with ideas of his own. In the end, he taught me a thing or two, and that shows that if you're open-minded, you can learn from anyone. The second event was over 2 nights, and this time I did not have any help, so it required a great deal more planning. The client also had very specific requests, and it involved a lot of communication. This also required me to order in products beforehand, which I had to pay for, so I asked the client for a deposit, something which I'd never previously done. Prior to the event, I practiced everything, running through the process with my computer and software to ensure everything ran smoothly. This allowed me to iron out any kinks and even find a better way of working. Through this planning and preparation, everything went really well, and the client expressed her happiness at a job completed so professionally. Although most clients have simple requests, there are others that will have more precise requirements. I learned to be able to adapt to these and found that I can still deliver a high standard of service. I did not want to limit my experience to just freelance work, and in order to gain these jobs, I needed to promote my services. I already had a website for my first business, but I wanted to build one for CML Productions. Rather than use my original supplier, I decided to look at other options, and I have chosen to use Wix. Using their interface, I quickly learned how to build a new site that I keep updated on a regular basis. I believe it is always helpful to use different suppliers, as they will be able to offer different services that may be advantageous to my business. I plan to upgrade this to a subscription plan in the near future. I did not limit my promotion to websites. I established a presence on social media through Twitter and Facebook and post regular updates. This has allowed me to build a following of 100 likes. twice as many as my other business. I also attended a local networking event for creatives where I got to meet other photographers and artists who are currently running businesses in the West Midlands. It was educational to speak to them and see how they survive in such a competitive industry. When this module started, I was employed in the photography department at John Lewis. Although this is important, I really wanted to gain employment as a photographer, and I obtained a role with the university's Global Leaders Programme to document their lectures and events for marketing purposes. This role taught me a great deal. I had to create a new CV that reflected me as a photographer and put together a portfolio of images. I also attended various inductions and learned how to work with new systems. What really stood out for me was how different it is to work for someone else. It felt like there was less pressure and I had less responsibility. This might sound better, but in all honesty, I prefer to be independent and accept the burdens and accountabilities which that entails. I was surprised how much I've learned over the last year. I've learned to persevere. Knockbacks are normal. You have to accept them and move forward. I've learned to market myself using multiple media platforms, keep them updated and see the benefits of exploring new suppliers and services. I learned to think on my feet and adapt to different situations so I was able to produce my best work for the clients. Branching out and meeting other creatives that work in the industry offered me some unique insights in how others work in the industry, and that regular networking is essential in building a business. Most of all, I learned that I want to work for myself and not for someone else. I love the responsibility and pressure, but also the freedom and variety it brings. Every day, every job, and every client is different, and that's what I want for my future. Going forward, I want to amalgamate both my businesses into one and have a new name, brand, and media presence. This is something that I will put together during my year abroad, and then using all the experience I've gained through this module this year, I will relaunch when I'm back in the UK.